Time. It seems like the most rigid constant in our universe, ticking away the same for everyone. But what if I told you that right now, as you're listening, time is actually flowing differently for each of us? Einstein proved this mind-bending reality.
That's such a fascinating way to think about it because most of us have completely wrong assumptions about time. We think it's this unchanging force, but physics tells us something entirely different.
Let me share something that will blow your mind. We've built our entire civilization around synchronized time, but Einstein showed that your second and my second aren't actually the same length, and we can prove it with modern technology.
Hmm. You're talking about those precise atomic clock experiments, right? Where they actually measured time moving at different rates?
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Even right now in this studio, time is technically moving at slightly different rates for us because we're sitting at different distances from Earth's center of gravity.
Well, that's exactly what makes this so mind bending. Most people don't realize that gravity literally warps time itself.
Let me break this down with a practical example. GPS satellites have to constantly adjust for time dilation because they're further from Earth's gravity than we are. Without these adjustments, your navigation app would be off by miles.
Oh, and you know what's even more fascinating? The higher you live above sea level, the faster time actually moves for you compared to someone at the beach.
Though, and this is important, we're talking about tiny differences on Earth. But when we start looking at more extreme situations like space travel or black holes, these effects become dramatically more noticeable.
Speaking of space travel, could you explain the famous twin paradox? It's such a perfect illustration of these effects.
So picture this. You have identical twins. One stays on Earth, while the other takes a journey through space at near light speed. When the traveling twin returns, they've experienced less time than their Earthbound sibling. They would literally be younger.
And this isn't just theoretical. We've measured similar effects, though on a much smaller scale, with ultra precise atomic clocks on airplanes.
You know what really gets me? The fact that no two people in the universe are experiencing time at exactly the same rate. We're all living in our own personal time bubbles that overlap but never perfectly align.
That's such a beautiful way to think about it. Though I suppose we shouldn't use relativistic physics as an excuse for being late to meetings.
Well, here's something even more mind-blowing. Near a black hole, time can slow down so dramatically that someone watching from Earth might see you appear to freeze in time at the event horizon.
The mathematics behind these predictions are absolutely solid, even though they seem like science fiction. It's one of those areas where reality turns out to be stranger than anything we could imagine.
And you know what fascinates me most? How this connects to our subjective experience of time. Like how time seems to crawl when we're bored, but flies when we're having fun. It's as if our consciousness has its own form of time dilation.
That's an interesting parallel between physics and psychology. While they're different phenomena, isn't it remarkable that both our minds and the universe treat time as something flexible?
And here's something that really puts it in perspective. Even the atoms in your head experience time slightly differently than the atoms in your feet, just because they're at different distances from Earth's center of gravity.
So, in a very real sense, we're all time travelers, each experiencing our own unique flow of time through the universe.
Einstein didn't just change physics, he fundamentally altered how we understand our place in the cosmos. And it all started with simple questions about light and clocks. It shows how the deepest truths about reality can come from questioning our most basic assumptions.
And that understanding really changes how we might think about our future, especially as we begin to explore space and establish colonies on other worlds where time itself will flow at different rates.
You know, when we started this conversation, I thought time was just this simple thing we all shared equally. Now I realize it's more like a river that flows at different speeds, depending on where you are and how